This is KGW News at 11.
We begin tonight with changes in our weather. Thank you for joining us. I'm Blair Best. We finally saw some cooler temps in the metro area this afternoon, but travel east and it was a different story. Let's check in with meteorologist Joe Ranieri, who's in the Weather Center. And Joe, parts of central and eastern Oregon saw severe thunderstorms move through with some impressive hail too.
Blair, it was a doozy. Here's a look at the hail. This was out in the Sun River area right around 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight. That's about the size of a marble, about a ½ inch in diameter size. So if you think of it, marble, maybe those kind of bouncy balls, that's pretty intense weather moving through. And we got lots of reports throughout central and eastern Oregon of hail. Of course, there was a severe thunderstorm earlier tonight. Now the weather has calmed down a little bit. We're still picking up a little bit of some blues. That blue on the radar is that hail core through some of that severe weather that we're continuing to see tonight. And it's going to be pretty active throughout much of the central and eastern side of the state again tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. It's pulling in some of that precipitation from the Gulf of Mexico. That's to contribute to some of the precipitation and that unstable air out there. And this is that upper level low that's been bringing some of the severe weather. Really, I think this is day 3, day 4 of some thunderstorms. In the last couple of hours, those thunderstorms have continued throughout parts of Pendleton, along I-84 in eastern Oregon, and throughout central Oregon as well. Rainfall amounts, that's the kind of interesting thing. You'd think that the severe weather that brought in a lot of wind and rain and hail would also be producing a heavy amount of rain. That is not the case. We'll zoom out a little bit. Over in Bend and Redmond, you saw 2/100ths of an inch of rain. John Day, about 3/100ths of an inch of rain. That's because there are dry thunderstorms and not a whole lot in terms of precipitation. But I'll talk more about this in just a few minutes, about 10 minutes from now, Blair, and also let you know just how severe the weather will be throughout the east side of the state tomorrow afternoon.
All right, Joe, sounds good. Well, now a look ahead at the incoming wildfire season. Staying safe and getting ready is top of mind for many. And firefighters say with our changing climate, being prepared isn't just for certain parts of the state. It's for everyone, even those here in Portland. Here's Alma McCarty.
Although things look lush and green, firefighters say they're on high alert.
The reality is, we did have a pretty wet spring there for a while with cool, moderate temperatures, but quickly it got warm. So what happens is all those green fuels that look so beautiful then become dry, and fire can find its way to move through there.
Across the region, departments like Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue are doing what they can now to fight wildfires this year.
We have to be ready for whether it's fast-moving fires and fine fuels or small fuels on the ground, or if it's getting into a more dense forested area. We are investing in that by doing training right now.
Fire crews also want to help everyone protect their homes and communities. At the World Forestry Center's Discovery Museum, Portland Fire and the Office of the State Fire Marshal held a special event to educate the public.
With the drought conditions we've been seeing and the change in the fire behavior in Oregon, the Portland area is very much, at risk for a possible wildfire to start. And if it did, when and if it does happen, it could be very catastrophic.
Anne Rattan, an artist, and Apricot Irving, an author, use their work to share their personal experiences and close calls with Oregon wildfires.
I drove through the beginning of the San Am Canyon fire in September 2020. And these paintings are all the result of that.
Writing about the Eagle Creek fire was a really important part for me of being able to feel like I could process and heal from the trauma of it.
Not only has it shaped their work, it's driven them to advocate for wildfire safety.
Because our landscape is changing so much. This is not a rainforest area anymore, and we got to get ready.
It is possible to still live well in this landscape that we love, and there's things we can do to protect our homes and recognize that wildfire is here.
For those who were interested but were unable to attend on Saturday, you have another opportunity on Sunday, same hours, 11 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And of course, we will have more resources and information on wildfire preparedness up on KGW.com. In Southwest Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Well, let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. We have an update on an Amber Alert out of Idaho. Nampa police tweeted that 2-year-old Rudy was found safe today. He was last seen with his father, who did not have custody, but his father is still on the loose. He was last seen just before 10 a.m. today in a silver passenger car, possibly a gray 2008 Lexus. If you have any information, call the police. 3 teens were arrested following a shooting in Salem. Police say this happened on Coral Ave Northeast after 4 in the afternoon today. One person reported having a bullet hit their apartment. They believe it came from an argument next door. Now, police later said they evacuated neighboring apartments and arrested 2 14-year-olds and a 16-year-old who were next door. That's where police say they found one AR-15 style weapon, a shotgun, and a long rifle. The teens now face several charges, including possession of a firearm and reckless endangering. And Portland homicide detectives spent Friday night investigating yet another fatal shooting. Officers responded to the scene along Northeast 82nd Avenue in the Roseway neighborhood. They found one man dead from his injuries. Nearby roads were closed for several hours, but they're now back open. And we now know the name of the person killed in a shooting in the Cully neighborhood. Portland police say he's 30-year-old Jose Perez. He was killed last weekend on May 14th on Northeast Killingsworth Street. 2 other people were also shot with minor injuries. The suspect or suspects left the scene and no immediate arrests have been made. Well, a Vancouver man is recovering after being assaulted in Esther Short Park. And it all happened after he came to help a volunteer who was being yelled at by a group of skateboarders. Art Edwards has the story.
You saved my life, but also I didn't want nothing to happen to you.
Daryl Bullock and volunteer Francisco Guerrero back together at Vancouver's Esther Short Park. On Tuesday, Guerrero was at the gazebo in the park. He was confronted by several teens when he tried to stop them from moving the sign and skateboarding on the gazebo. Bullock was there checking on homeless friends in the park.
I could see rapidly where it was going.
So he made his way to the gazebo and stepped in to help.
So I was just hoping to defuse it, but the reality is they had aggression in their hearts.
Bullock says he has some martial arts training. When the violence escalated, he tried his best to protect himself.
I'm really good at deflecting blows, and they swung at me over 40 or 50 times, but they only landed about 3 of them.
But that was enough to cause some serious injury.
I've got 7 staples in the back of my head, my arm. I can't straighten my arm out. My arm was swollen out like this from 2 different hits with the skateboard.
Vancouver police are investigating, but so far have made no arrests. Bullock doesn't regret intervening.
You would do this again if this kind of a situation came up?
1,000 times over. Absolutely.
He spent several hours at a hospital. A GoFundMe has been started for Bullock to help with medical bills. He says he'll donate money received that goes beyond the $10,000 goal. Art Edwards, KGW News.
Tonight, people in Vancouver rallied against gun violence. This was at the A1 Elite Basketball Vancouver facility. The event was organized by Better Portland. That's an outreach group bringing awareness against gun violence in Portland. Now, the group says they're expanding to those in Vancouver, too, by adding programs for at-risk youth.
There's no one solution for gun violence that is happening in our community. Number 2, no organization has all the resources, the money, the time, or the people to solve the problem in itself. It's going to take, it's going to take a community, and we realize that, and so that's why.
Now, the rally also had a DJ, food, and activities inside the facility. Well, new at 11, we are potentially just a few weeks away from the United States defaulting on its debt. The Treasury Department is running out of money to pay the bills Congress already authorized, and it needs to borrow more. But it can't do that unless Congress raises the debt ceiling. Today, we checked in with Oregon Senator Ron Wyden about the matter, and here's what he had to say about the possible impacts it could have if the country defaults on its debt.
It would affect interest rates. It would affect the automobile industry. You know, once you put at risk our very integrated economy, the dominoes can fall in a hurry. We can't let that happen.
And now Republicans who control the House say they won't vote to raise the debt ceiling unless the bill also comes with severe spending cuts, a proposal that President Biden has rejected.